Billionaire CEO left a $0 tip, but the note he hid under the plate changed her life. Emma Rodriguez's feet were screaming. She'd been on shift for 9 hours straight at the Riverside Diner, a modest establishment on the outskirts of Seattle that catered to everyone from truck drivers to business professionals passing through. Her sneakers, the cheap ones from the discount store that were already falling apart after 2 months, had long since stopped providing any cushioning. Every step felt like walking on hot coals. But she couldn't stop. Not yet. Not when she needed every single dollar from this shift to make rent next week. "Emma, table 7 needs refills," shouted Marco from behind the bar. He wasn't being mean, just stressed. They were short-staffed again because Jenny had called out sick, which meant Emma was covering twice her usual section. On it, Emma grabbed the coffee pot and hustled to table 7, painting on the smile that had become second nature over her 3 years of waitressing. The couple there, regulars, thankfully, smiled back warmly. "You're doing great, honey," the older woman said, patting Emma's hand. "Hang in there." "Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. You're sweet." Emma refilled their cups, her smile genuine this time. It was customers like the Pattersons who made this job bearable. She glanced at the clock. 8:47 p.m. Just over an hour left on her shift. Then she could pick up her daughter Mia from her neighbor's apartment, get her to bed, and collapse into her own bed for exactly 5 hours before her alarm went off at 5 a.m. for her morning shift at the bakery. This was Emma's life now. 2 jobs, endless exhaustion, and the constant mathematical gymnastics of making $2,100 a month stretch to cover a $1,400 rent, utilities, food, her daughter's school supplies, and the medical bills from Mia's asthma treatments that insurance didn't fully cover. The bell above the diner's entrance chimed, and Emma looked up to see a man walk in. Mid-40s, she guessed. Expensive suit. She'd learned to recognize quality fabric from waiting on Seattle's business crowd. Dark hair with touches of gray at the temples, confident stride, the kind of posture that came from never having to make yourself small. He looked out of place at the Riverside Diner, but not uncomfortable. That was interesting. Marco caught her eye and nodded toward the man, her table. Emma grabbed a menu and approached with her professional smile. "Good evening, just one tonight." "Yes, please." His voice was pleasant, warm even. He had kind eyes, she noticed. Not the dismissive look she sometimes got from the suit-and-tie crowd who couldn't be bothered to see her as human. "Right this way." She led him to table 12 by the window. It was one of the nicer spots, overlooking the small park across the street where the evening lights were just coming on. "Can I start you off with something to drink?" "Just water, please, and I'll need a few minutes with the menu." "Of course, take your time." Emma brought his water and then got pulled into a small crisis at table 4, where a customer insisted his medium-rare steak was overcooked. It wasn't. Emma had checked with the kitchen. But she apologized anyway, offered to have it replaced, and smoothed things over with the practiced ease of someone who'd learned that arguing with customers only hurt her tip. When she returned to table 12, the man was reading something on his phone, but he looked up immediately when she approached. Another point in his favor, so many customers made her stand there awkwardly while they finished their texts. "Ready to order." "The meatloaf special sounds good. And could I get a side salad instead of fries?" "Absolutely. Ranch, Italian, or vinaigrette?" "Vinaigrette, please." Emma wrote it down. "I'll get that in for you right away." As she turned to go, he said, "Thank you, Emma." She paused, surprised. He'd read her name tag, which seemed like a small thing but happened less often than people would think. "You're welcome." The dinner rush intensified. A party of 8 walked in without a reservation. 2 kids at table 3 spilled an entire pitcher of lemonade, and the dishwasher broke down, which meant Marco was hand-washing plates while simultaneously trying to manage the bar. Emma moved through it all on autopilot. her body knowing the rhythms even as her mind started to fog with exhaustion. She delivered the meatloaf to table 12. The man, she should have asked his name, but she'd been too frazzled, thanked her again and began eating. He didn't pull out his phone or a laptop like most solo diners. He just ate and occasionally looked out the window at the park. Emma found that oddly peaceful to watch during her brief passes through the section. She checked on him once. "How is everything?" "Excellent, this is really good meatloaf." He said it like he meant it, not like someone just being polite. "I'll tell our cook, he'll appreciate that." "Please do." The evening wore on. The party of 8 finally left, decent tip, thank God. The family with the messy kids left a generous one too, along with an apologetic smile. Mrs. and Mr. Patterson left their usual 20% and a mini Snickers bar for Emma, which had become their tradition. At 9:30, Emma noticed the man at table 12 had finished eating. His plate was clean, pushed slightly forward in the universal signal of "I'm done." She headed over with the check. "Can I get you anything else? Dessert, coffee?" "No, thank you, this was perfect." He took the check folder she offered. "Actually, Emma, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "How long have you been working here?" It was an odd question, but his tone was genuinely curious, not creepy or condescending. "About 3 years." "And you enjoy it?" Emma laughed before she could stop herself. "Enjoy is a strong word, but I'm grateful to have the job. It pays the bills." Mostly, she thought, but didn't say. He nodded slowly, like she'd confirmed something he'd been thinking. "Thank you for your service tonight. You're excellent at what you do." Emma felt her cheeks warm. Compliments on her work ethic weren't rare, but something about the way he said it felt different, more sincere. "Thank you, that means a lot." He placed a credit card in the folder without looking at the check total. Emma took it to the register, ran the card, $47.38 for the meal, and returned with the receipt for him to sign. This was always the moment of truth. The moment where she'd find out if her aching feet and forced smiles had earned her enough to buy Mia the new inhaler prescription she needed. The man signed the receipt, closed the folder, and stood up. "Have a good evening, Emma." "You too, sir. Thank you for coming in." He left, and Emma moved to clear the table. She opened the receipt folder, her heart doing its familiar nervous flutter. The tip line was blank. No, wait, there was a zero. A clear, unmistakable $0 written in the tip line. Emma stared at it, her stomach dropping. $0 on a $47 check, after she'd given him attentive, friendly service. She told herself it didn't matter. That maybe he didn't believe in tipping, or maybe he'd had a bad day, or maybe he was foreign and didn't understand American tipping culture, even though he'd clearly been American. But it did matter. It mattered a lot when you were counting on every tip to feed your daughter. Emma blinked back the tears that threatened to form. She would not cry on the floor. She would not give anyone the satisfaction of seeing her break. She picked up the check folder and reached for the plate. That's when she saw the corner of paper peeking out from beneath it. Frowning, Emma lifted the plate. Underneath was a handwritten note on what looked like expensive stationery, folded once. With trembling fingers, she unfolded it. "Dear Emma, I'm sorry I couldn't leave a tip on the receipt. My accountant tracks every transaction, and what I'm about to offer you needs to be off the books for now. My name is James Hartwell. I'm the CEO of Hartwell Industries. You might not have heard of us. We're in medical device manufacturing, but we're doing well. I came in tonight specifically to meet you. I know that sounds strange, so let me explain. 3 months ago, my mother was hospitalized with pneumonia. She's elderly, and it was touch and go for a while. During one of her hospital stays, you were working a second job in the hospital cafeteria's evening shift. Do you remember an older woman who dropped her dinner tray? That was my mother. She was embarrassed, disoriented from her medication, and starting to cry. You didn't just help her clean up, you sat with her for 15 minutes during your break. You talked to her about your daughter, showed her pictures, made her laugh. You treated her with such kindness and dignity that she talked about that wonderful young woman Emma for weeks afterward. My mother passed away 2 weeks ago, peacefully in her sleep. Before she died, she made me promise something. She said, "Find that waitress, Emma. She has a good heart but a hard life. Help her." My mother was very perceptive. So I did some research. I found out you work 2 jobs to support your daughter as a single parent. I found out you're taking online community college classes at night trying to finish your degree. I found out you're drowning in medical debt from your daughter's treatments. Emma, I would like to offer you a job. Not out of pity. I don't do pity hires. But because my mother saw something in you that I now recognize: character, work ethic, and the kind of genuine care for people that can't be taught. I need someone to run our company's charitable foundation. It's a real job with real responsibilities: coordinating donations, vetting organizations, working with communities. Starting salary is $85,000 per year, full benefits including comprehensive health insurance, retirement plan, and tuition reimbursement for your degree. I can't leave this job offer in writing anywhere my board might see it before I've properly vetted it through HR, which is why I'm doing it this way. But I want you to have the weekend to think about it. If you're interested, please call this number, 206 550 50147. Ask for me directly. We'll set up a proper interview, make everything official and above board. Your tip isn't zero, Emma. I can't put it on a receipt, but check your daughter's medical account at Seattle Children's Hospital on Monday. Consider it a signing bonus. Thank you for being kind to my mother when she needed it most. Thank you for being the kind of person who restores my faith in humanity. With deepest gratitude, James Hartwell. Emma read the note 3 times. Then she sat down in the booth, her legs giving out, and read it a 4th time. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen, not to people like her, not to single mothers working 2 jobs and barely scraping by. But the stationery was real, heavy, expensive. The handwriting was confident, clear. And the details about his mother, about the hospital cafeteria incident, those were real too. She did remember that woman. Of course she remembered. The elderly lady who'd been so mortified when her tray slipped from her shaking hands. Emma had helped her clean up, then insisted on sitting with her because the woman had looked so lost and alone. They'd talked about everything and nothing. Emma's Mia, the woman's garden, the weather, how hospital food was never quite right. It had been such a small thing, 15 minutes of kindness. And now, "Emma, you okay?" Marco was standing by the table, concerned. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Emma folded the note carefully and slipped it into her apron pocket. "I'm fine, just tired." "Go ahead and clock out early. I can handle the last half hour." "You sure?" "Yeah, you've been busting your ass all night. Go get your kid." Emma hugged him impulsively. "Thank you, Marco." "Whoa, okay. Yeah, go before I change my mind." Emma clocked out, grabbed her things, and walked to her car in a daze. The note in her pocket felt like it was burning a hole through the fabric. She kept touching it, making sure it was still there, that she hadn't imagined it. At the neighbor's apartment, Mrs. Chen opened the door with a sleeping Mia in her arms. "She conked out about an hour ago. Long day at school." "Thank you so much for watching her." Emma took her daughter carefully, adjusting the 6-year-old's weight in her arms. Mia mumbled something and snuggled into Emma's shoulder. "Anytime, honey. You know I love this little one." Emma carried Mia down the hall to their own apartment, a modest 1-bedroom where Mia had the bedroom and Emma slept on the pull-out couch. She tucked her daughter into bed, kissed her forehead, and then finally allowed herself to sit down and really process what had happened. She pulled out the note again, read it in the dim light of her phone. $85,000 a year. That was. That was more than double what she made now from both jobs combined. That was health insurance, real health insurance that would cover Mia's treatments. That was tuition reimbursement. That was the possibility of not having to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. That was a life. But was it real? What if this was some elaborate scam? What if she called that number and her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number? Emma, this is James Hartwell. I realized I put you in an awkward position with that note. I wanted to follow up with my contact information so you can verify who I am. Google James Hartwell, Hartwell Industries. You'll find me. I'm real, the job offer is real, and I truly hope you'll consider it. No pressure. Take the weekend. J.H. Emma's hands were shaking as she typed James Hartwell, Hartwell Industries into Google. The results flooded her screen, pages and pages of them. News articles about his company's medical innovations, Forbes profiles, a Wikipedia page, photos of a distinguished-looking man in expensive suits, the same man who'd sat at table 12. One headline caught her eye. Hartwell Industries CEO pledges $50 million to children's hospitals in memory of late mother. Emma clicked the article. It was dated 3 days ago. James Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Industries, announced a major philanthropic initiative Tuesday in honor of his mother, Margaret Hartwell, who passed away last month. My mother believed in simple kindness, Hartwell said at a press conference. She believed that how we treat people, especially those who are struggling, defines who we are as a society. This donation is just the beginning of what I hope will be a lasting legacy of care. There was a photo of James Hartwell at the press conference. In his hand, he was holding what looked like a hospital cafeteria tray. Emma's breath caught. She scrolled through more articles, more photos, more information. It was all real. He was real. The company was real and thriving. He was exactly who he said he was. Her phone buzzed again. Another text. Also, I wasn't exaggerating about the medical account. It will be updated Monday morning. My mother would have wanted me to help, and I'm in a position to do so. Whether you take the job or not, that gift stands. Your daughter deserves the best care. J.H. Emma's vision blurred with tears. She pressed her hand to her mouth to muffle the sob that escaped. She couldn't wake Mia, but she couldn't hold it in either. All the exhaustion, all the stress, all the nights she'd lain awake doing math in her head trying to figure out how to make ends meet. It all came pouring out in silent, shaking tears. Someone had seen her, really seen her, not just as a waitress or a struggling single mom or a charity case. Someone had seen her kindness, her work ethic, her character, and thought she deserved more. It was overwhelming. Emma cried for 20 minutes, letting everything out. Then she washed her face, made herself a cup of tea, and sat down to really think. She didn't sleep much that night. Her mind kept spinning through possibilities, doubts, fears, hopes. Saturday morning, Emma dropped Mia off at her friend Sophia's house for a playdate. One of the few luxuries she allowed herself, letting Mia be a normal kid for a few hours. Then she went to the public library and used their computers to research everything she could about James Hartwell, Hartwell Industries, and the charitable foundation he'd mentioned. It was all legitimate. The foundation existed but had been struggling with leadership issues. Their previous director had retired, and they'd been operating without clear direction. They needed someone organized, compassionate, and dedicated. Emma had spent 3 years managing complex table sections during rush hours, juggling multiple customer needs simultaneously, handling conflicts with grace, and making everyone feel valued. She'd been taking business administration classes online. She had experience with nonprofit work from volunteering at Mia's school. She could do this job, maybe not perfectly at first, but she could learn, she could grow into it. But more than that, she wanted to do this job. The idea of helping coordinate charitable giving, of being the person who connected resources with people who needed them, of making the kind of difference that James Hartwell's mother had seen in her. That resonated deeply. Sunday morning, Emma made her decision. She texted the number, "Mr. Hartwell, this is Emma Rodriguez. I would like to discuss the position. When would be a good time to call? Emma." The response came within minutes. "Emma, I'm so glad to hear from you. Are you free this afternoon? I could meet you somewhere comfortable, your choice of location. This is too important to do over the phone. JH." They agreed to meet at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle at 2 p.m. Emma borrowed a blazer from Mrs. Chen, put on her nicest pair of pants, and spent an hour making herself presentable. Not because she was trying to be someone she wasn't, but because she wanted to show respect for the opportunity. Mia was confused about why Mommy was so dressed up on a Sunday, but Emma just kissed her forehead and promised to explain everything soon. James Hartwell was already at the coffee shop when Emma arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 coffee cups in front of him. He stood when he saw her, extending his hand. "Emma, thank you for meeting me. Thank you for everything. I still can't quite believe this is real. I understand, it's unconventional to say the least. Please sit. I got you a latte, I hope that's okay. If not, we can." "A latte is perfect, thank you." Emma sat down, her hands wrapped around the warm cup for something to hold onto. James sat across from her, and for a moment they just looked at each other. Then he smiled, a genuine, warm smile that reached his eyes. "I need to be completely honest with you, Emma. This isn't charity. I really do need someone to run the foundation, and I think you'd be exceptional at it. But I also want you to understand what you'd be walking into." "I'm listening." For the next hour, James outlined the position in detail. The foundation had an annual budget of $8 million. Emma would be responsible for strategic planning, working with applicants, conducting site visits, coordinating with Hartwell Industries' corporate giving program, and building relationships with community organizations. It was real work, significant work, work that would challenge her. "I won't lie," James said. "You'll be learning on the job, but I believe in hearing for character and training for skill. And Emma, you have the kind of character that can't be taught. Because I was nice to your mother. Because you were kind to a stranger when no one was watching and you had nothing to gain. Because you worked 2 jobs to provide for your daughter and still find time to volunteer at her school. Because when I watched you in that diner, I saw someone who treated every customer, from the truck driver to the businessman, with equal respect. That's rare. That's valuable. That's what this foundation needs." Emma felt her eyes welling up again. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll take a chance. Come interview with our HR department properly, officially. Meet the foundation board. Let them see what I see. And if it's a good fit for everyone, say yes." Emma looked at this man who'd sought her out, who'd remembered his mother's dying wish, who'd taken the time to research her life and offer her a way out of the endless cycle of exhaustion and barely making it. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll interview and Mr. Hartwell." "James, please." "James, I want you to know that even if this doesn't work out for some reason, what you've done, what you've offered, it's already changed my life. Just knowing that someone saw me, really saw me, and thought I deserved more, that's everything." James's eyes looked suspiciously bright. "My mother saw you, Emma. She saw what I'm seeing now, and she was never wrong about people." They talked for another hour, working out logistics. The official interview would be Thursday. In the meantime, James would have HR prepare all the paperwork, run the background checks, and coordinate with the board. As they were leaving, Emma remembered something. "The medical account, you said to check Monday." "Yes, I paid off your daughter's existing balance and set up a fund for future treatments. It should cover everything for the next 5 years at least." Emma stopped walking. "How much?" "Does it matter?" "James, I can't accept, that's too much." "Emma," he turned to face her, his expression serious. My mother's last words to me were, "Help, Emma. Promise me." I promised. This is me keeping that promise. Please let me do this. Not for you, for her. Emma's throat was too tight to speak. She just nodded. Good. Now go home to your daughter and try to relax. Thursday will be here before you know it. Monday morning, Emma called Seattle Children's Hospital billing department. The woman on the phone sounded confused as she looked up the account. "Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm showing a zero balance on your account, and there's a note here about a treatment fund that's been established. It looks like, oh my goodness, it looks like all future treatments are fully covered for the next 5 years, including medications, emergency visits, everything." Emma had known it was coming, but hearing it confirmed made her knees weak. "Can you tell me the amount of the fund?" "It's showing $175,000. Emma had to sit down. $175,000 for Mia, for her daughter's health, her breathing, her life. She thought about all the nights she'd laid awake worried about the next asthma attack, the next emergency room visit, the bills that would come. All of that gone, just like that. That night she sat Mia down and explained, in 6-year-old terms, that Mommy might be getting a new job. A job where she could be home more. A job where they might be able to move to a bigger apartment. A job where Mia's medicine would always be covered. Mia's response, "Will you still be tired all the time?" Emma pulled her daughter close. "No, baby, I won't be tired all the time anymore." "Good, I don't like when you're tired." "Me neither, sweetheart, me neither." Thursday's interview was intense but fair. Emma met with HR, with the foundation board, and finally with James himself in his actual office at Hartwell Industries headquarters, a stunning building downtown that Emma had passed 1,000 times but never imagined entering. The board asked tough questions about her lack of traditional experience. Emma was honest. She had a lot to learn, but she also had 3 years of customer service excellence, conflict resolution skills, multitasking abilities, and genuine passion for helping people. More importantly, she'd been on the other side. She knew what it felt like to need help, to be struggling, to be invisible. That perspective, she argued, was valuable for someone running a charitable foundation. The board seemed impressed. When they excused her from the room to deliberate, Emma sat in the waiting area and tried not to throw up from nerves. James came out 15 minutes later. His face was unreadable. Then he smiled. "Welcome to Hartwell Industries, Emma. The job is yours if you want it." Emma wanted to scream, to cry, to laugh, to collapse. Instead, she stood up, shook his hand professionally, and said, "I want it. Thank you for this opportunity. I won't let you down." "I know you won't. My mother knew it. Now we all know it." The HR process took another week: background checks, paperwork, setting up benefits, coordinating start dates. Emma gave her 2 weeks' notice at both the diner and the bakery. Marco hugged her so hard he lifted her off the ground. Her bakery manager cried and made her promise to come back for free coffee. Mrs. Chen threw her a small celebration party with Mia and some neighbors. "I knew you were special," the older woman said. "I knew something good would happen for you." Emma's first day at Hartwell Industries was surreal. She had an office, a real office with a door and a window overlooking the city. She had business cards. She had a salary that meant she could breathe. But more than that, she had purpose. The foundation work was challenging and deeply rewarding. Emma threw herself into learning everything she could. She attended nonprofit management seminars, took online courses in grant writing and program evaluation, and spent hours talking to community organizations about their needs. Within 3 months, she'd restructured the foundation's application process to make it more accessible to smaller organizations. Within 6 months, she'd implemented a new monitoring system to track outcomes and ensure donated funds were being used effectively. And she never, ever forgot what it felt like to be struggling. When a small community center applied for funding to provide free meals to low-income children, Emma didn't just approve the grant. She visited the center, talked to the staff, ate lunch with the kids. She wanted to understand what difference the money would make. When a single mother's shelter needed help, Emma remembered her own nights of anxiety and made sure the grant included not just operational funding, but also career counseling services. Because she knew that what people needed most was not just immediate help, but a path forward. James watched all of this with quiet satisfaction. 6 months into Emma's tenure, he called her into his office. "My mother would be very proud of you," he said. "I'm very proud of you." "Thank you, that means everything to me." "I have something for you." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a photo, James's mother, sitting in what looked like a hospital cafeteria, smiling at the camera. She was holding a cafeteria tray and she looked happy. "She had my father take this the day after you helped her," she told him. "I met an angel today. Her name is Emma. She carried this photo with her until the day she died." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so honored to have met her, even briefly. I wish I could have known her better." "She knew you, Emma, in the way that mattered, and she made sure I knew you too," James smiled. "I wanted you to have this, as a reminder that small acts of kindness ripple outward in ways we can never imagine." Emma kept that photo on her office desk, next to a picture of Mia. Every day it reminded her why she did what she did, not for recognition or praise, but because kindness mattered, because seeing people mattered, because everyone deserved dignity and second chances. A year after that fateful night at the diner, Emma sat in a board meeting presenting the foundation's annual impact report. They distributed $6.2 million to 73 different organizations. They'd helped feed 15,000 children, provided medical care to 3,000 families, funded after-school programs for 2,000 kids, and supported job training for 800 adults. Behind each of those numbers was a story, a person, a family, a second chance. Just like the one Emma had been given. After the meeting, James walked with her back to her office. "You've exceeded every expectation, Emma. The board is thrilled. I'm thrilled. You've taken my mother's vision and turned it into something remarkable." "I had good motivation," Emma said, gesturing to the photo of Margaret Hartwell on her desk. "And a good teacher, even if I only knew her for 15 minutes. Funny how 15 minutes can change everything." Emma thought about that night at the diner, about the $0 tip that had broken her heart for exactly 3 seconds before she'd found the note, about how close she'd come to just throwing away that plate without checking underneath. "Do you ever wonder," Emma said slowly, "what would have happened if I hadn't found the note? If I just cleared the table and never looked under the plate?" James smiled. "I would have come back. I would have found another way. Once my mother set her mind on something, it got done. She made me promise to help you, and I keep my promises. She raised you well." "She did, and now you're doing the same for Mia. That's the real ripple effect, Emma. Kindness creating more kindness, generation after generation." That evening, Emma picked Mia up from their new apartment, a spacious 2-bedroom in a safer neighborhood with good schools. Mia now had her own room, painted purple at her insistence, with a desk for homework and shelves for books. They had dinner together. Emma had time to cook now, and then curled up on the couch for their nightly reading time. It was a ritual Emma treasured, these quiet moments with her daughter. "Mama," Mia looked up from her book, "my teacher said we should always be kind to people because we never know what they're going through." Emma smiled, thinking of Margaret Hartwell. "Your teacher is absolutely right." "Is that why you were nice to that old lady at the hospital? The one Mr. Hartwell told me about?" Emma had explained the situation to Mia in age-appropriate terms, about how being kind to someone had led to this wonderful job, their new apartment, and Mia's medical care being covered. "I was nice to her because she was a person who needed help," Emma said. I didn't know it would lead to anything. That's not why you're kind to people. Why are you kind to them then? Because everyone deserves kindness, baby. Rich or poor, young or old, no matter what they look like or where they come from. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Mia thought about this seriously. I'm going to be kind to everyone too. I know you will, sweetheart. You already are. Later, after Mia was asleep, Emma stood at her bedroom window looking out at the Seattle skyline. Somewhere out there were servers working double shifts, single parents doing math at midnight trying to make rent, people exhausted and struggling and invisible. She couldn't help them all, but the foundation could help some, and those some could help others, and the ripples would spread outward. Emma thought about the note she kept framed in her office, the words she'd read 100 times. Your tip isn't zero, Emma. No, her tip had been a second chance, a new life, the opportunity to pass forward the kindness she'd been shown. That was worth more than any amount of money written on a receipt. Emma pulled out her phone and opened her Notes app. She'd been thinking about this for a while now, and tonight felt like the right time to start. She began typing. The Kindness Initiative, a proposal to create a micro-grant program for service industry workers pursuing education or career changes. There were others like her out there, others working themselves to exhaustion, trapped by circumstances, one emergency away from disaster. Others who just needed someone to see them, to believe in them, to give them a chance. Emma was going to find them. And she was going to help. Because that's what Margaret Hartwell would have wanted. That's what James had shown her. And that's what she wanted Mia to learn. That we're all connected, that kindness matters, and that sometimes the smallest gesture, 15 minutes with a stranger, a note under a plate, a job offer in a diner, can change everything. Emma smiled and kept typing. The ripples were just beginning.